Chapter 7. The media reshapes an image, the German Shepherd. By the early 1900s, the large guard dog breeds, the Bloodhound, Newfoundland, Mastiff and Bulldog, were rather quickly being replaced by other breeds. It is with no surprise then that we find that severe and fatal attacks from these breeds dramatically decrease. By the first decade of the 1900s, new breeds were being developed in other countries and imported to America. A few of these breeds gained tremendous popularity with the American people, becoming the new guard dogs, working dogs and companion animals. Perhaps no breed has risen in popularity so rapidly, become so consistently popular, served in so many capacities and dealt with so much conflicting criticism and praise as has the German Shepherd dog. The German Shepherd is a rather new import to the United States, with the first dog of this breed registered by the American Kennel Club in 1908. The start of a new century along with introduction of an entirely new breed allows for an old set of problems, breed, function, aggression, to be examined from a clean slate. Like the Bloodhounds, northern breeds and bulldogs, attempting to obtain accurate breed identification of the German Shepherd in cases of aggression is, at best, a difficult task. Although the German Shepherd is a distinct-looking breed, the reliability of breed identifications in attacks where German Shepherds were named as the breed is relatively low. Police dog, German police dog, shepherd dog, German Shepherd, Alsatian, still widely used in Europe and other parts of the world, Alsatian wolf dog and, of course, German Shepherd dog are all terms that have been used at one time or another to describe the breed of dog we know today as the German Shepherd. The first reported fatal attack that may seem to suggest a German Shepherd is found in 1887, when a young boy was killed in Indiana as he tried to pet a shepherd dog. There is no doubt the dog involved in this fatality was not a German Shepherd, as the breed of dog we know as the German Shepherd had not yet been created. The term shepherd dog was certainly used to describe the function or class of dog, sheep dog, hound dog, terrier, and not a specific breed. The generic term shepherd dog is seen again in another fatality in 1903, except this dog was further described as a valuable shepherd dog. This case involved a farmer who was going into town and wished to lock the dog in the barn while he was away. The dog refused to enter the barn, and when the owner tried to force the dog through the door, it turned on his master. The shepherd dog was relentless in his attack. The man's wife arrived and made a desperate attempt to save her husband. She hit the dog in the back with an axe, but this only maddened the dog further. She then swung a fateful blow that missed its mark, instead striking her husband in the leg. The man died a few hours later from blood loss. From 1887 through 1919, the only classification seen that even remotely suggests the involvement of a German Shepherd in attacks is the word shepherd dog. It hardly needs to be said that none of these cases can reasonably or reliably be attributed to the specific breed of German Shepherd. Clues as to the possible breed involved in fatal/severe attacks are only slightly more revealing beginning in 1928, when it was reported that a 5-year-old boy in Minnesota entered into a building to play with 3 dogs kept there. The dogs, one of which was a police dog, became excited, knocking the boy to the floor. The situation escalated into a fatal attack. But here again, function takes precedence over breed, and the dog is described by what it does, police work, rather than its specific breed. There exists the real possibility that this dog was not a German Shepherd, as it was not unheard of for collies or bulldogs to be described as police dogs during this time. By the mid-1930s, the descriptions are more revealing, as German police dogs are found in reported cases of attacks. In July 1945, a young girl in Virginia was reported to have been attacked and killed by a big, brown and very vicious German police dog. For German police dog was a very popular name for the German Shepherd from 1920 to 1945. This terminology does not allow for the suggestion of any other breed, unlike the description, police dog. It was 1947 before the first dog involved in a fatality was officially named as a German Shepherd, when it was reported that a small boy was attacked and killed while sledding in Pennsylvania. By the 1940s, the identification of German Shepherds involved in attacks appears to have some reliability, and even though fatalities were rare, there were a substantial number of severe attacks by this breed reported in the news. In direct contrast to the harm the media did to the reputation of the bloodhound in the previous century, the media was directly responsible for salvaging the quickly deteriorating image of the German Shepherd in the beginning of the 20th century. By the 1920s, the German Shepherd had already gained tremendous popularity in the U.S. However, another phenomenon was gaining momentum just as quickly: the demonization of the German Shepherd. By 1920, the German Shepherd was well on its way to becoming the first bad breed of the 20th century. It is unclear as to the exact forces at work which were rapidly destroying the reputation of this newly formed breed. In the first decade of the 20th century, 1900 to 1909, there were a significant number of fatal dog attacks reported in the U.S. The only one of these that even remotely suggests a German Shepherd was the attack mentioned earlier, in 1903, involving a valuable shepherd dog and a farmer. By the second decade of the 20th century, 1910 to 1919, fatal dog attack reports were few and far between. It is unlikely that canine behavior changed dramatically from one decade to the next. Perhaps it may be that with the First World War looming, the nation and the media were focused on issues of greater magnitude, and dog attack stories took a back seat to national and international events. With no authenticated cases of fatal German Shepherd attacks to be found from 1900 to 1919, it is difficult to surmise how the breed was developing such a bad reputation so quickly. But, by the start of the 1920s, the German Shepherd had developed a widespread reputation as a treacherous, deceitful and vicious dog, and was starting to overshadow the Bloodhound's long-standing image as the most ferocious breed. No doubt there were non-fatal attacks on humans, and there appears to be a number of cases of predation, attacking livestock, with this newly popular breed. The fact that the breed was known in England as the Alsatian wolf dog, and the term wolf was attached to this breed in its beginnings, most assuredly contributed negatively towards their image. A common thread seen in maligning the breed is this reference to wolf blood. Up until very recently, people were very passionate in their hatred and fear of the wolf. But what is clear is that by the 1920s there was a public perception that the German Shepherd had few redeeming qualities, and that the breed's only contribution to society was in increasing the number of dog attacks in the community. We find the public debate in full swing concerning the nature and disposition of the German Shepherd by the early 1920s. After a volley of letters debating the behavior of the German police dog was printed in the editorial section of the New York Times, Mrs. Dorothy Holden voiced her opinion in a response dated July 11, 1924. I live in a neighborhood where there are at least 10 within a radius of half a mile, and during the past year 6 women and children, including my own daughter, have been attacked by them without provocation. In 2 cases the victims were only saved from being torn to pieces by the intervention of the dog's owners. They do not seem to attack men or large dogs, and if even a small dog shows fight they usually slink off. And for any usefulness they may have or endearing qualities, I do not notice, and with only a thin veneer over the wolf, they are certainly not to be trusted. They are being imported in such numbers and are breeding so fast that they will soon be as numerous as the rabbits in Australia, and are a far greater menace. In conclusion, we live in a semi-besieged state of terror from these German police dogs, and the law does not seem to be able to help us, as their owners are wealthy. Indeed, this woman was not alone in her beliefs. In 1925, a New York magistrate proposed a ban on the German Shepherd dog in Queens. The city magistrate of Queens requested that the county health authorities ban German police dogs from the city, as they had been branded a menace. Magistrate James J. Conway was also quoted as saying the German police dog was savage, vicious, and bred from wolves. In the city at the present time there are thousands of these savage dogs. The police records show that there are 2,000 German police dogs in Queens. Hundreds of persons have been victims of dog bites during the past year, and the majority of biting dogs were police dogs. The dogs should be barred from the city. The New York Times, January 7, 1925. It is not well known, but the first official breed ban was against the German Shepherd. On May 2, 1929, the Australian government imposed an import ban on the Alsatian, German Shepherd, that was to stay in effect until March 1974. The ban was proposed due to the claim by the Graziers Federal Council of Australia and others that the Alsatian dog was a vicious dog with wolf blood in its veins. The Alsatian was also branded a sheep killer, and the pastoralists, farmers, believed the dogs would mate with the dingo and produce a new strain of powerful and intelligent sheep killers. A Montana reader was in full agreement after reading about the ban in Australia. His letter to the editor, entitled Killer Dogs, speaks for itself. He expounds on his theory with the following comments. Australia has banned the German police dog and has ordered all in the country to be sterilized, due to the fact that this dog is not a shepherd dog, but a killer. The police dog is little less than a wolf. The editorial goes on to describe attacks by German police dogs on livestock in Minnesota and concludes with, "Why pay a bounty on wolves, when we allow misguided citizens to import half-domesticated wolves from Germany and proceed to breed them and turn them loose on the already overvexed sheepman? The sheepdog is a friend to man, but I would prefer the hyena to the German police dog." Just as the anti-German Shepherd movement was picking up speed, a number of extraordinary events occurred that turned the tide of public opinion on its proverbial head. At the end of World War I, Air Force Corporal Lee Duncan returned to his California home with 2 German Shepherd puppies he rescued from a deserted bunker in France. The female puppy died soon after reaching the United States, but the surviving male puppy thrived and was named Rin Tin Tin. Duncan, an animal enthusiast, spent the next 3 years hounding movie studios to use his intelligent and well-trained dog in their productions. Finally, in 1922, Rin Tin Tin won a bit part in the movie The Man from Hell's River. The rest is history. Rin Tin Tin went on to star in another 25 films, most of them silent movies, in his 10-year career. At the end of the 1920s, instead of printing editorials about vicious German police dogs, the newspapers were full of accounts of heroic deeds by German police dogs, as the German Shepherd craze was in full swing. Another event occurred concurrently with the rise of Rin Tin Tin, which perhaps was not as well publicized, but certainly contributed to the turnaround in public sentiment towards the German Shepherd. In 1928, Buddy, a female German Shepherd, became the first seeing-eye dog in the United States. This novel and humane function of the German Shepherd was another very positive image that helped dispel the rumors and allegations of wolf-like savagery associated with the breed only 10 years earlier. The tide had turned so dramatically that in July 1934, when a young Long Island boy was killed by a chained German police dog, it was reported that the dog killed his young companion because he was tied out and crazed by the heat. Another article describes the dog as maddened by the heat. The implication now was that it was not in the true nature of the breed to behave this way. Provocation or extenuating circumstances drove this dog to aggressiveness. This is quite a turnaround from the savage, vicious, treacherous depictions of the German police dog prior to the introduction of Rin Tin Tin and Buddy. In addition to portraying the German Shepherd as a heroic breed, the media negatively manipulated other breeds to assist in bolstering the new, positive image of the German Shepherd. A fascinating example of this was the 1925 release of the Rin Tin Tin movie Below the Line. The movie begins with Rin Tin Tin being trained as a pit fighting dog. Early in the movie, Rinty, as Rin Tin Tin was familiarly referred to, falls from a train and is severely injured. He is nursed back to health and, of course, becomes devoted to the humans who have shown him kindness. In return, Rinty saves his human benefactors from all types of peril, one of these perils being an attack on the heroine by a pack of bloodhounds. A 1926 review of this movie shows with great clarity the reactions that bloodhounds could still elicit from people. It also demonstrates that the shift in public attitude towards the German Shepherd had been so greatly influenced by the fictional Rin Tin Tin, that the public could also easily accept the death of a villain by an attack by the new, heroic German Shepherd. The title of this review is telling in and of itself. Bloodhounds rip into Rin Tin Tin in new picture, the bloodhounds are loose. When that anguished cry shrieks out on the screen subtitle, you take a new hold on whatever is nearest you and prepare to try and stand the biggest thrill of all. For Below the Line has thrills from the opening flash. But, when the bloodhounds get loose, excitement knows no bounds. The fight between the great shepherd dog and the pack of hounds is so vividly realistic that the producers of the picture have seen fit to explain, in a screen note, that it was filmed without any harm to the dogs involved. The review of this film also describes the scene in which the villain is attacked and killed by Rin Tin Tin. And you see Rin Tin Tin, the wonder dog, come to the rescue. The dog kills the villain in a scene that carries with it the maximum of terror but with the minimum of repulsive detail. Appleton Post-Crescent, July 7, 1926. In addition to Rin Tin Tin's severe aggression against the villain being acceptable in the context of the dog acting in the interest of a worthy cause, the public's overall attitude towards certain canine behaviors was vastly different 80 years ago than they are today. A century ago, dogs were not expected to behave amicably all the time. Aggression was recognized to be part and parcel of what was the essence of the dog. Americans have always loved their villains, be they of the two-legged or four-legged variety. And even though some breeds had developed ferocious reputations, it was nevertheless understood that dogs were complex beings, capable of behaving badly, while still serving their masters well. The concept of the familiar bond between owner and dog, along with the exclusivity on which this bond was based, was well understood and accepted by most people. This understanding allowed for the media to produce and the public to accept the concept of this movie. The idea that Rin Tin Tin could be an ex-fighting dog, wary and afraid of people, not only capable of severe/fatal aggression, but displaying fatal aggression towards a villainous human, while at the same time being a courageous and wonderful companion animal to the humans with whom he had formed attachments, was understood at some level to be the very essence of all dogs, be they bloodhounds, German shepherds, or bulldogs. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Rin Tin Tin movie Below the Line is not just simply how dramatically it assisted in the reversal of the German shepherd's image from vicious to noble, but the dredging up and use of the old, ferocious breed, the bloodhound, to help accomplish this. However, by the late 1940s, there was a slight trend towards the vilification of the German Shepherd again, as the population of the breed was so great in the US that it was unlikely that all those dogs were following in the heroic pawprints of Rin Tin Tin. But this sentiment was also squashed by another perfectly timed media event: television. Rin Tin Tin was reinvented on television and brought into millions of American homes in The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin, which ran from 1954 to 1959. This was to start another huge wave of popularity for the German Shepherd, and new issues with aggression would emerge in the late 1960s and early 1970s. While the media was instrumental in salvaging the image of the German Shepherd, the breed itself is also responsible for the turnaround in public sentiment. The German Shepherd dog truly was, and still is, a versatile, intelligent, loyal and hardworking dog. The fact that this breed is used in humane and legitimate services to mankind, police work, military service, seeing eye dog, movie star, shepherd of livestock, and more recently bomb sniffing, drug detection and search and rescue, are vital to helping the breed obtain and maintain a positive public image.